Hi, welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. This is, of course, Rickford Burke in New York. Share the link. You know the drill. Share the link. For those of you watching from North America, welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. If you're watching from Europe, the Caribbean, Guyana, wherever you're watching from, particularly Caribbean and Guyana, because the topics for this evening's conversation, they're very relevant to Guyana and the Caribbean. So keep sharing the link. Everybody, grab a seat, pull up your computer, pull up your phone, whatever you're watching on your iPads, call up all your relatives and friends, let them know Conversation with Rickford Burke is on. Share this link. Everybody share this link. Wow, I'm seeing a lot of people have already begun to share the link. Share the link, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, IG, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, email, everywhere you possibly can. Anyhow you can, everywhere you can. Share the link. Today we're talking about some very important topics to Guyanese and the Caribbean. You know, all my Caribbean friends tell me, man, Rickford, you're always talking about Guyana. The podcast is so popular, you're only talking about Guyana. So those of us who are watching who don't understand Guyana can't understand what you're talking about. But they're becoming aware. But now tonight, part of this conversation will be about the entire Caribbean and our justice system. So share the link and I'll be back in 60 seconds. All right, keep sharing the link. Keep sharing the link. Still keep sharing this link. Let us get as many people as possible in this conversation. So tonight I want to talk about three topics. Won't be long, 1 hour. Three topics. One, the visit to Guyana by the President and Chief Justice of the Caribbean Court of Appeal, Justice Adrian Saunders, who's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, this brings some significance because prior to his work in the judiciary on the bench, Justice Saunders was part of the ruling party of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He was actually, I understand, the General Secretary of Ralph Gonsalves' party. So, wink, wink, I don't know what's going on there, but we know that Ralph Gonsalves is completely against the Black people in Guyana, completely against the opposition in Guyana. He is pro-PPP and has been advocating for the PPP, has been campaigning for the PPP. So we'll examine whether or not there's some sort of bias there. Also, a good judge has been parading around with PPP officials who have a case before the CCJ over which he is presiding. We'll talk about that. Also, we'll talk about this nonsense gimmick, public relations gimmick by Irfaan, the installed president of Guyana, about One Guyana. Is it One Guyana that includes everybody, or One Guyana, which means East Indian dominance, oneness among East Indians? More look like that. We'll talk about it. And then also want to talk about Mr. Attorney Nirvan Singh breaking his silence, issuing a statement in connection with the alleged assault accusation that he assaulted a policewoman, African Guyanese policewoman. There's significance there because there are allegations popping up all over that the Singhs, father and son, allegedly have been abusive to African Guyanese police officers who have been assigned to provide security services at their home. So this is not the only allegation. This allegation by police officer Shonette Bolas is not the only allegation. It's not an isolated incident based on allegations. We'll talk about that. So these are the topics we want to talk about tonight. Everybody share this link with somebody. Get on Facebook, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, YouTube, wherever, email, telephone, WhatsApp, Bartica, Essequibo, New York, Brooklyn, North America, Africa, Canada. I know if I start to look through the comments, I see my friend in Japan, Guyanese serving in the US military in Japan. I know I'll see him, in Germany. I know I'll see him commenting. Barbados in the house, Linden in the house, Trinidad and Tobago in the house. My friend who's Vincentian, lives in London, is in the house. I guess he has an interest in this. Who else is in the house? Text me, let me know where you're watching from. In the meantime, share the link, the technical guys. We ready? Everybody ready? All right. Share the link. I'll be back in 60 seconds. Everybody share the link. Right. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Keep sharing the link. So the first topic I want to talk about tonight is this PPP One Guyana nonsense. One Guyana. Apart from the fact that if you're not part of the PPP government, are you seeing One Guyana? Where is it? Where is this One Guyana? The PPP claims they have One Guyana. They're in pursuit of One Guyana. The installed prime minister said that when he came to New York. Oh, we're working towards One Guyana. Well, we know he don't have no power to say anything else. One Guyana. Okay, so let's examine what has been going on in Guyana since the PPP came to power. I want to start with just a few days ago when I was on Mark Benchcoff's program, along with the Pastor Anil of the PNC Carriveton Town Council. And he said in Region 6 where he lives, the PPP government, they're only fixing the roads where East Indians live. They're only hiring East Indians. They are giving COVID and farmers relief to East Indians. Matter of fact, he said some of the East Indians who are PPP supporters are so disgusted with the racism, they've stopped going to meetings, they've stopped supporting the PPP. They, in fact, they're giving, when they get the hampers and when they get the flood relief, they're giving it to blacks in their village. That's how bad it is. Their own people are seeing the racism. I'm getting distractions. Their own people are seeing the racism. If they want to challenge us, we have said over and over again, and opposition members of parliament have submitted questions in parliament calling on the government to name every person who has gotten COVID relief. Name every person who's gotten the flood/farmers relief. And name every contractor that has gotten a contract from the government in every sector, all across the board. Name every person who has gotten a government contract. Name every company that has gotten a government contract. Name all the owners of all of the companies that have gotten government contracts. You know what we will find? 99.9% of those people, all of them, are Palestinians. Do you need more empirical evidence to show that the government is a racist government and that their racism, their innate racism, congenital racism, is driving public policy in their government? There's no question about that. They can't even argue that anymore. Now, here's the problem. Instead of correcting that, they're doubling down on it. Bar Jagdev said the other day, we don't have to do anything to make those people participate in the democracy. He was talking with regard to objections the opposition has about their attempts to change the Elections Commission, make changes in the Elections Commission. He's like, we don't have to do anything because he claims they attempted to steal an election. So there's no democracy anymore. Democracy has been suspended. The de facto president of Ghana, Bar Jagdev, who tried to run for a third term and was smacked down by the CCJ, he said they don't have to practice democracy in Guyana because the opposition doesn't deserve democracy. You see, their agenda is one East Indian Guyana. Plain and simple. One East Indian Guyana. Everybody else go to hell. One East Indian Guyana. That's what it is. So everybody, get on social media, tell all your friends and family, the slogan, the gimmick is not to achieve the motto, one people, one nation, one destiny. No, 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 no. It is to achieve the PPP's motto, one East Indian Guyana. So I want us to condition our minds, our psyche, everything to what they're doing, one East Indian Guyana. East Indians are getting flood relief. East Indians are getting COVID relief. East Indians are benefiting from roads, road repairs, whatever it is, infrastructure work. East Indians are getting all of the contracts. And it's not all East Indians, it's PP East Indians. Because there are Indian people who don't support them that they're also treating that way. They're discriminating against them. Just the other day, you had a family dispute where the regional chairman of Region 4, my brother, Daniel Siram, was involved in an argument with his father-in-law. Whatever happened, both sides ended up making reports that the other person threatened them. The police charged Daniel Siram. Why? Because the father-in-law is allegedly a financier. He finances, allegedly, the PPP. So they charge him. They burned down the home of the Aziz family, the business place of the Aziz family, who are butchers in Region 5. They're attacking Amerindians who don't support them. And they have an all-out assault, a war against Black people. Everybody keep sharing the link, keep sharing the link, keep sharing the link. Important. And then, once they realized that the campaign against their racism is intensifying, you had United States members of Congress speaking out against it. You have the American government now talking about joint management of the country's resources, to which they're objecting. So the world is now beginning to see that it's the same old PPP with a few new faces. No respect for the rule of law, no respect for Black people, no respect for opposition, no respect for dissent, all driven by Bart Jagdeo, who's a maniac. He thinks he must control everything. He thinks he's Hitler. Seriously, I believe if the PPP were to remove Bart Jagdeo from the scene, they might be able to achieve one. But Bart Jagdeo is the maniac racist who is driving PPP policy. Bart Jagdeo hates people that don't look like him, people that look like me. And then Nondenial follows. Nondenial follows. And then Ali and the others. One Guyana? No. One East Indian Guyana. And then when you point these things out, they call you racist. Well, if speaking out against racism, speaking out against atrocities, against every race, but in particular Black people, because it's Black people who are suffering now, Black people who are being discriminated against, Black people who they're shutting out from economic development in Guyana, Black people who they're stifling their businesses. You want to know something else? Let us ask all the commercial banks to release the names of everybody they've given loans to. They're saying we don't have empirical evidence. Well, I'm laying out empirical evidence. But you know what? They don't want to come to Parliament and answer the question as mandated by law to provide this information because it will reveal that they're racist. So they're holding back the empirical evidence, and then they're telling you, you don't have empirical evidence. Well, release the information, huh? Release the information. Let us see the names of the people over the last 10 to 15 years who have gotten loans from the banks, gotten house lots, gotten land deals from the PPP. The PPP is the most violently racist and brutally oppressive anti-Black party in the Western Hemisphere. So now, so as to counteract our campaign against their racism, the Republicans, the Trump Republicans, told them to use the slogan One Guyana. Just like One America. Yeah, we love America. We don't love Black people and Latino, Trump. Make America great again. Yes, eliminate all the Black people and the Spanish people. Stop them from coming to this country. Make America white again. One East Indian Guyana. That's what the PPP is doing. So they think that we're so stupid, Guyanese, that we're going to fall for this gimmick, One Guyana. So then Irfaan and Ali come up with this thing. They're getting so much licks on this racism that is so evident to the rest of the world. They decide we're going to have a day of fasting and prayer so we could achieve One Guyana. What? It is blasphemous. And we know that blasphemy is one of the most, what is one of the unpardonable sins. Unpardonable sins. This is an evil. They're being blasphemous. How can you practice the world's worst atrocity, racism, and then come talk about pray to God? It is blasphemous. And Guyanese must not indulge in this blasphemous public relations sloganeering about One Guyana. Not in my lifetime. The PP is not interested in One Guyana. They are interested in thieving the country's money. They're engaged in transferring the wealth of Guyana to East Indians. And like I said, they're perfectly patriotic, law-abiding East Indians who are not racist. We ain't talking about those people. We honor those people and we have the highest regard for them. We're talking about members of the PPP racist cult. The types that call Black people the N-word, hungry belly dogs, and so on. We live in basements. Who live their lives based on hate, who the PPP has taught to hate people of color, Black people. People who don't look like them. Well, other than Black. But they have been misled and conditioned to believe that they're white. And so that's why during the Trump era, they associated with Trump. They proudly attacked Black Lives Matter. Even ministers of the government were sloganeering against Black Lives Matter, including Priya Mani-Chan. She's a racist. Including Barjab there, he's a racist. They were attacking Black Lives Matter so as to help promote Trump. They went so far as going to the United Nations to vote against eliminating slavery of Black people. One Guyana? No, one East Indian Guyana. But you know what? We must not indulge in their nonsense. I mean, we must resist it and work to tear it down. I don't care what they said. They could go and quote me. I said tear down the government. I'm saying tear down any government that's based on racism and oppression of Black people and any other people. Tear down any government that denies people their rights, their humanity, their entitlement to human dignity. Tear them down. Tear it down. I love Eric Holder. Apart from the fact that I know Eric Holder, the former Attorney General of the United States, I like some of his work that he's doing to empower Black people to vote and to stand up for civil rights. He's a former judge. former Attorney General. You know what he said in response to Michelle Obama? When she said, when they go high, when they go low, you go high? Eric Holder said no, because these people don't understand dignity. And the more you try to go high, the more they try to tear you down. So when they go low, you stamp them and kick them in the face. That's what Eric Holder said. And you stop them from destroying you. I'm not a proponent of violence, but I'm quoting the former Attorney General of the United States. When the PPP goes low, apply the advice of the Attorney General of the United States. My advice. When they go low, you go high. That's for people who believe in morality. People who have some sense of human dignity. Some people who respect the humanity of Black people and that we're equal. PPP doesn't believe that. Republican, KKK don't believe that. Give them their equal treatment. And we're not talking about physical violence, so y'all don't quote me. But you stop them from tearing you down. That's what he was saying. That's the moral of what he's saying. Stop them from tearing you down. So my pastor, our pastor, the pastor of the Adventist Church, stood up for his brethren. And I liked his sermon. I've criticized him in the past, Pastor Exxon Clark. I've criticized him in the past for going and being duped by this One Guyana thing. And I'm pretty sure he earnestly believed that they thought that they could implement One Guyana. Well, he believed that they were sincere in their sloganeering. But his message last week at this so-called forum for prayer and fasting was profound. And he told them prayer and fasting and so on for the objective can't be a gimmick, it can't be a slogan. There must be earnest change, an intent and a longing to change. The man realized there's a bunch of scamps, racist scamps he's dealing with. And he prepared a message that addressed their misleading, deceptive sloganeering. They don't intend to change. They don't care about One Guyana. All they're concerned about is I'm getting a message there, transferring the country's wealth to themselves. So if we don't bring back some level of equity in governance, equitable governance, justice, adherence to the rule of law and the principles of democratic governance, we will end up in a situation where Black people will be slaves in Guyana, Black people will become second-class citizens, the PPP and their East Indian followers will be the richest people, oligarchs in the country, and then the money would be taken out by the expatriates, the Exxons and all the other people who are exploring and producing oil in Guyana. And the country would be impoverished as Venezuela. And we will continue just where the PP left off. When they left office in 2015, to be a failed state that is a narcotics transshipment center. So don't buy into this nonsense about One Guyana. It's a gimmick. They're racist. They intend to be racist. They don't care. They don't care about Black people. And I live in a society where we have been conditioned to talk freely about race. And like I said last week, that's why there are institutions and organizations and laws
to take away the disparity, advance people of color, because for 245 years in America and around the world, in the British Commonwealth, Black people have suffered from slavery, discrimination, victimization, and everything else. We don't want a handout. We want the playing field to be leveled. And that's why you have affirmative action laws, organizations like the NAACP, Urban League, and others, League of Colored People, CGID, to assert the civil rights and liberties of people who are disadvantaged, discriminated against, and victimized, face racism. Our foreparents fought slavery and defeated it, fought colonial masters, slave masters, and defeated it. And they left a blueprint for us. And this is where our advocacy is taking us. We're going to defeat racism in Guyana. We will defeat PPP racism and defeat the PPP too in Guyana. Might not happen right away. But this generation that is coming up here, nobody accepting no racism. Nobody going to be accepting being gunned down in the streets by Jagdeo governments, death squads. No. All right. So that was just dismantling this nonsense, racist government sloganeering about One Guyana. If you want One Guyana, work towards it, eliminate racism, create opportunities for everybody. Ensure that there's justice, ensure that there's equitable government, and ensure that there's joint management and oversight of the resources, wealth, and natural patrimony of Guyana. And we're going to get there. I want to turn to Mr. Nirvan Singh. He put out a statement. As everybody knows, Singh has been accused of assaulting a young Black police officer who was assigned to guard their residence. His father is the former chancellor of the judiciary, Carl Singh. People are questioning whether or not it is proper, appropriate, lawful for police to be guarding the former chancellor's home. I don't have a problem with that, as I've said. He's a former chancellor, he made decisions, he tried cases, made rulings and orders, and sent people to jail. And so, as the former head of the judiciary, I think he's entitled to security. Whether or not it should be police officers, I don't know. The context of the country to decide. But I believe the state is responsible for his security. Now, having said that, several police officers since this incident happened came forward to say, some of whom I've spoken to, some of whom my colleagues have spoken to, some of whom their families we have spoken to, have said they have suffered tremendous abuse at the hands of this young man and his father. There's not one of these police officers who have been working, assigned to provide guard security duties at the Singh's residence who've said they're not racist and abusive to Black people. I am not there, but I have not been there, I don't know. I'm not a witness to these events, but I have no reason to doubt the veracity of their accounts based on their experiences. And some of them have reported these issues. I've spoken to police officers, senior officers, who said these issues have been reported. But they're told if you continue to raise these issues, you'll be fired, you'll lose your job, whatever it is. So they intimidate people. So you have to go back and face the indignity of a man who's a lawyer, should know better and uphold the law, calling you a black monkey and pulling a gun on you. If I'm a licensed firearm holder, or I'm authorized to carry a firearm and somebody pull a gun on me, I'll pull back a gun on them. Or I will protect myself. Or I will call 911. and the police will have to come and deal with the matter. Don't tell the people, but don't report it. 2 police officers, black male, black female, he allegedly pulled the gun on before. Several police officers abused, spoken to anyhow. And now, police officer, well, since her name is public, Shawnette Bullers, have said, accused the man of 1, spitting on her, 2, abusing her, calling her a black monkey, telling her black people have no purpose in life, obstructing her from her duties. You obstruct a police officer over here is a felony. You can't put no police officer out of anywhere that they're assigned to. That's obstructing government administration. If Mr. Singh has a problem with the police officers, you call the police command. They have supervisors, they have commanders, they have sergeants, corporals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, whoever. They have a command structure. If you're not satisfied, you go up the rank until you get to the police commissioner. And nobody could argue that if the chancellor or even his son writes a letter to the police commissioner complaining about something or drawing their attention to an issue or making an observation about the conduct of an officer, that action would not be taken. But what gives them the right to abuse people, talk to people anyhow? I hate and resent abuse of people. I hate it. And I have no reason to doubt Ms. Bullers' account of what happened, based on the accounts of other officers. So the police department, I guess because, you know, the Singhs are powerful East Indian people, perceived to be connected to the PPP, or connected to the PPP, police took no action. Any other citizen would have been arrested. Why Nirvan Singh has not been arrested? That's a question the police must answer. Now, the acting police commissioner, Clifford Hicken, is quoted in the Starbuck newspaper as saying, no, belatedly, the file was sent to the DPP. That's a cop-out. So if the DPP, who herself is a PPP East Indian, not afraid to say, who previously dropped the charges against all the East Indian PPP who were charged with criminal offenses, including hundreds of millions of dollars, altogether billions of dollars of fraud. She dropped the charges against them, including Irfaan Ali, including the so-called Minister of Finance, including the Attorney General. We're waiting to see what she's going to do in this case, because it's another powerful PPP, allegedly East Indian. We got to talk truth to power. We have to speak truth to power. So Nirvan Singh issues a statement. He says, as a result of my engagement, he had such a polite engagement with the police officer. There are rumors and allegations and reports which are untrue and have no basis in that engagement. Well, police officer Bullers, maybe you might want to tell us about your engagement with Mr. Singh, because as far as we understand, it was a confrontation, an altercation. If somebody is assaulting you, that's an altercation. But he wants to obfuscate, right? He wants to distract. He wants to come over as a decent gentleman, which he's not, based on these allegations. I don't know the young man, but I'm making a judgment based on allegations of his conduct. And I'll be the first to say, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Let him have his day in court. But he should be arrested, because that's how the system works. If I go outside right now and somebody calls the police and says, this man just smacked me, and somebody standing there says, yes, I saw it, or whether somebody saw it or not, I'm going to be arrested or at least given a citation, a summons. That's how the law is. Police officers are not supposed to adjudicate facts. Police officers are supposed to investigate complaints if the complaints appear credible, make an arrest, and refer the matter to the prosecutors, who will then gather more facts or have trained investigators then follow all of the facts and circumstances and provide more evidence to the prosecutor, who then prosecutes the case in court. But the police force, they want to offend the Singhs. They don't want to offend the PPP. How dare you touch one of my elitists? How dare you touch an East Indian who's connected to the PPP? No, you can't do that. The police force is only supposed to enforce the law against Black people and the Amerindians and East Indians who don't support the PPP. That's the mission. So, the police force doesn't want to. So what they decided to do, they decided, based on the commissioner's comment, to send the matter to the DPP for legal advice. Well, the police also has a legal advisor, but they sent the file to the DPP, Ms. Shalimar Ali Ha, who herself is a PPP East Indian. They're part of this East Indian elitist group, club, society. Well, let us see what she will do. Because inaction in these cases lead to people taking the law into their own hands. I'm not an advocate for that. I'm just saying what life experiences show. So, but then he went on to say that as a result of the engagement, the altercation with the police officer, there are rumors, all sorts of rumors. He had on a pink underwear, you know, he got kakai, whatever, rumors, all sorts of rumors and suggestions and innuendos and reports, which are not true. So it's a non-denial denial. Nowhere in the statement has he specifically denied he assaulted the woman, spat on her, chased her out, obstructing her work, called her a monkey, used racially hostile language against her, which is a crime. It's against the Racial Hostility Act. Nowhere in the statement he's denied that. And he's smart, because he doesn't know when he goes to court if evidence to prove the allegations would be presented. So he denied. He just made a blanket deny. I never wore a pink underwear. I never wore purple shoes. I never wear a green bag. He's just denying general things. The sky is not pink. The sky is not red. Nobody says anything. Everything but these allegations, he's denying. They're untrue. No, nothing in fact. He's pulling things out of thin air. All of that is untrue. Not true. He said the racist conduct they're accusing him of nowhere reflects my philosophy and my personal values. All these officers are lying. And we know in court, police officers are given deference when it comes to their testimony, unless proven otherwise. So courts usually give more weight to accounts and testimony of police officers than the ordinary citizens, because they're sworn to uphold the law and tell the truth. So all of these guys are lying. All the police officers lie. Well, more importantly, he said it would be an indictment of my parents and the elders give their effort to ensure that his upbringing would produce a person of the highest moral and ethical and professional conduct. I almost made a Guyanese exclamation there. Backside. Backside. According to my Jamaican friends. My son is Jamaican. Backside. It would be an indictment of my parents and the elders who all helped to bring me up and to produce in me a person of the highest ethical values, standards, and like my former grandfather would say, professional conduct. But his father apologized. Right? His father apologized for his conduct. Based on accounts that I have been told and advised of, father come downstairs and he boxers and apologized to the policewoman. Father not having no respect. He coming down in the PJ, big farmer judge, in the boxers or he draws or underwear or whatever it is, and apologizing. Apologizing for what? His son's highest ethical standards of professionalism and great high values? Is that what his father's apologizing for? Listen, the statement is trash. If this young man is so confident that, and he has been telling people who've related that to me, that he did nothing wrong, he did none of the things he's accused of, why come out and say, I did not spit on Miss Bullers. I did not chase her out of the yard. I did not obstruct her official duties. I did not tell her that she was a black monkey. I did not tell her that black people have no value. How dare would I say that? I have clients. I did not assault her. I didn't spit on her. I didn't do any of this. I'm innocent. Why not do that? No. All of those things, the birds are in the sky and the seas are rough and my underwear is not pink, and he's denying all of that. I'm not saying he said that, I'm just saying things to show how irrelevant to the subject his statement is. Because he knows as a lawyer, if he put out a statement lying, goes to court, and the evidence contradicts this statement, right away he has a credibility problem and nobody's going to believe him. So he is left enough wiggle room to say, I never denied that I did that. Maybe when I was talking, I spat in her face unconsciously. I don't know. He's left enough room for that. Maybe I was drunk. I don't know what I say. Black people, yeah, black people ain't got no purpose. I can't remember saying that, but he's left enough room for that. Possibility, maybe, could be, kind of, sort of. He's leaving the possibility for those little escape routes to preserve his credibility as a lawyer. And then what struck me in the statement even more, he said, while I await the matter, continue, while I wait for the matter to be properly determined by the court, I will strive to remain respectful. While. He didn't say, I will continue to remain respectful, true to my values, which my father and the elders instilled in me, so that I could become a person of the highest values, moral character, professional conduct. No, none of that. While the matter is to be determined by the court, I will strive. He's not going to be his natural self, right? He's going to strive to remain respectful till the matter done, so I could cuss all your black people, but all your monkey and pull God and create havoc. Maybe. What kind of lawyer is he? Put out this statement. If you are not guilty, say it. If you did not assault Miss Bullers, say it. Put out this vacuous statement. And then hear the ethnic press. Lawyer denies assaulting police officer. He never did. It's a non-denial denial. He never did. But all the newspapers are running with that. Lawyer denied assaulting police officer Bolas. He did not. Nowhere in the statement he denied assaulting her. Nowhere in the statement he denied spitting on her. Nowhere in the statement. I'm not saying that based on the statement he's guilty of anything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I believe Ms. Bolas. And the basis for my believing her is the accounts from other police officers. So there's a pattern of conduct. One policewoman even said the father pushed her out the gate and tell her some man who was parked there, Shiman. Another police officer said somebody asked for permission to enter the yard to trim a tree. And they say that Shiman. Every time somebody talks to a black person, there is a man. They're all, and you're a former judge? And you're an attorney at law, practicing, representing black people, and you harbor such hatreds? Everybody should start reviewing their cases. Everybody should start reviewing their cases. We had police officers in the Bronx and certain parts of New York, other parts of New York City, that fabricated evidence against black suspects whom they arrested and got convictions. And a few years ago, the courts had to go through the horror of reviewing all of those cases and dismissing them. So now we have revelations about this. I mean, it is only human for us to start thinking about the biasness that inform decision makings with the former chancellor. I make bold to say, if he is indeed biased, and if the account the police officer has given is true, and I have no reason to doubt them because there's a pattern. And if at the minimum something happened that caused the father to apologize, at the minimum we heard evidence where he's obstructing her from doing her job, she should have arrested him. Everybody know the female police officers over here, they're more aggressive than the male. They'll arrest you in a heartbeat to show that they're tough. And anybody who pulls a gun, as I've said, on a police officer in America or probably any other country, dead. What nonsense, stupid police is this? You have people pulling gun on you and you're going to write report and complain? Drop them to the ground. Not necessarily shoot them and kill them, but use force to restrain them. You have a man pulling a gun on you and you got to go home to your children and your wife and your mother and your sister? Suppose unintentionally, when he pulled that gun, it accidentally fires off because he had one in the breech or whatever, and you gone. The police is going to give you a nice wreath, have a wonderful funeral with all the gun salutes. My father was a cop; he had that, and they're going to march to the cemetery and from the church or whatever it is, and give lofty speeches about how professional you were. But you done dead and gone. You think a black boy in Alberton or Alboyston or Tiger Bay could pull a gun for the police and get away with it like that? What are we doing as a country? What the hell are we doing as a country, as a matter of fact? You think somebody in Buxton can pull a gun twice on two police officers? The people in Buxton did not know police was shooting, kicking in their door and going to shoot them and kill them in their sleep on the bar jack deal. You think anybody in Golden Grove or Denhamstel or Number 5 Village or Liverpool or Lancaster or Litchfield or Belladrum or Bartica can pull a gun twice? Well, Bartica, we don't even know what's going on there. On a police officer and the police force take no action? Now, Mr. Singh has to go to court on April 20th because the magistrate has signed a summons where Ms. Bollers was compelled to file private criminal charges against Mr. Singh because the police refused to, the police force refused to. They refused to do their work, their constitutional mandate, to serve and protect, not only the public, but their own. Now, people have been telling me that there is a video and the Singh say they'll be vindicated. I don't give a damn about that. That's the place for it. Take it to court. But don't deny people access to the courts and their rights. Go to court. Ms. Bollers will have to give her testimony and her attorneys will have to present their evidence, both civil and criminal, and the Singhs will be given the same opportunity. But don't start off the process by denying the woman her rights. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked when I was disappointed to hear that magistrates didn't want to sign the summons when they are mandated by law to do just that as their duty. That's obstruction of justice. That's perversion of the course of justice, all because they want to. I'll hold my tongue. I don't want people to be victimized in Ghana because of my views. But magistrates and judges have to uphold the law. They're not there to impose and enforce the law against citizens. They already have to, they also have to do it. In this country, we see judges being prosecuted. Some fairly, some unfairly, I'm sure. But they're held to the same standard of the citizens that come before them who they judge. And I hope the magistrates and judges in Guyana understand this. All right. And now, this brings me to Mr. Adrian Saunders, the Chief Justice and President of the CCJ. So, the good gentleman, Mr. Saunders, is visiting Guyana. Everybody knows Adrian Saunders. Everybody knows Adrian Saunders from Guyana. We saw him demonstrate his bias on the CCJ to the point where half of the population was calling for Guyana to remove itself from the CCJ the next time they get an opportunity to. I'm gonna leave it like that. We saw the President, Chief Justice Saunders, insulting APNU lawyers during the matters that went before the court in relation to the recount. All of those appeals, 3 cases went before them. And all 3 of them, they ruled for the PPP. Now, some will argue, well, because the PPP had the law right. There was inherent bias in the court's decision and the judge's comments, some of them. Especially Adrian Saunders, he was biased. And people believe that bias came from his politics prior to being on the bench. Some people thought that he was also doing Ralph Gonzalez's bidding on the bench. I don't know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying those were some of the sentiments that were expressed. And all of the rulings which he delivered were in favor of the PPP. I don't know if the Americans pressure the court. They have that capability. But all of the decisions were in line with Trump and Pompeo and Sarah Lynch. I was one of the people. I never believed in the CCJ. Never. I think Guyana's constitution was constitutional arrangement for the judiciary was fine. We had our own court of appeal demonstrating our independence as a country when we got rid of the Privy Council. But then somehow, in order to demonstrate Caribbean unity and CARICOM unity, we came up with this CCJ issue. I don't believe no judge from another country must sit to determine constitutional matters that affect the governance of the country, choose, in effect, through judicial activism and legislating from the bench, who should govern the country, as the CCJ did. I don't believe that. I don't believe no foreign judge, and I don't care what anybody say, I'm saying that they're foreign judges to the country, should change our constitution. The CCJ changed twice during those cases. They changed the constitutional, the drafters' intent of the provisions of the articles of the Constitution that addresses how an elections commission chairman should be selected. They changed that. It should not be done. They changed a provision in the Constitution that says, on questions about eligibility, I think, or interpreting the law with regard to eligibility, or I have to check back the provision, but there's a provision in the Constitution that said on certain matters with regard to the presidency, election of the president, the Court of Appeal of Guyana is the final determinant. The CCJ does not have jurisdiction. It is in the Constitution, and it is in the agreement of the CCJ. When it comes to interpreting the laws with regard to the election of the president, the Constitution is very clear that the Court of Appeal has the only jurisdiction to determine those questions. Adrian Saunders and his fellow travelers, judges on the CCJ, changed that provision cleverly. No, they think they're smart, like no other person's got brains but them, right? They said they didn't have jurisdiction to hear the case. Miss Signa Jones case, I think it is. But the Constitution says their decision is final. So if they decided that they had the jurisdiction to hear the case, the law said that is final. The CCJ came back and said, no, you don't have jurisdiction. So it is only when we think you have jurisdiction that your judgment is final. In other words, the constitutional provision then has no value anymore, because at any time, the CCJ could come back and say, we don't think you had jurisdiction, so you can't make a final decision. That's not what the law says. That is not the intent of the legislation. That is not what the founders intended. The founders wanted to make sure that when it comes to interpreting the laws with regard to the election of a Guyanese president, Guyanese judges must make the decision. It is clear for everybody to see. Anybody who understands constitutional construction knows that. And that's why so many countries moved away from the Privy Council. Apart from the fact that the Privy Council represented the colonial masters and the colonial era, white people make a decision for us, just like in slavery, we want to make our own determinations. Caribbean Court of Justice assumed itself to be the new colonial masters of Guyana. And that's why I think the court is going to fail. No other country wants to join the CCJ, but especially and now specifically because of those actions that they took with regard to Guyana. Watch and see. Yeah, nobody else joining the CCJ. 4 countries recognize the CCJ in its original jurisdiction. What is most ironic is that the CCJ is based in Trinidad and Tobago, and Trinidad does not recognize the court. Trinidad doesn't want them to do the CCJ because they understand the inherent biases. So we remember that the petition was heard by the High Court. Who threw them out? PPP petitioned the court to throw them out. They have all this mouth. Everybody who rig, whatever. They went and asked the court to throw them out on some technicality where Granger didn't sign at the right date, that he get a thing, and whatever. Chief Justice said, okay, no, the petition is fatally flawed. Because with regard to petitions, and I could understand that here, when it comes to election laws, written into the statutes and the Constitution, there's very specific requirements in order to challenge an election. And of course, the origins of the laws here find themselves in the common law. So, they threw out the petition. The APNU AFC appealed the matter. The PPP challenged the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal to hear the matter. Why? How dare those black judges? We heard Darmla say it. The 2 black judges who ruled against them on the Court of Appeal, which is now at the appellate level. So we have an intermediary appeals court in Guyana now that we have the CCJ. It's now an appellate court. CCJ is now the Court of Appeal, final appeal. PP don't like the judges there. They didn't appoint them. They love Rishi Prasad though, because why? He's an East Indian judge who always puts the rules for them. But the other women on the court, and sometimes when there's a vacancy on the court or a judge recuses his or herself, they bring up a senior judge from the High Court to sit in appeals. They had Justice Bihari during one of the appeals. Is it Bihari? I can't remember. BP loved her. Bihari. Rishi Prasad. Love him. Have no fear, Rishi is there. You know, that's their slogan. Have no fear, Rishi is there. The other 2 judges, fire them. They black, fire them. They, you know, they rule against us. Right? But now Justice Saunders is visiting Guyana. No, let me finish this. I just remember that. Sorry, I got distracted. Somebody was messaging me there. Somebody just messaged me telling me that PPP operatives are trying to get Facebook to block this broadcast. That's fine. They can try. So the Court of Appeal ruled, if I'm not mistaken, that they have jurisdiction to hear the case. The PPP that appeals it, to the CCJ. That matter is currently sub judice before the CCJ. The matter is before Adrian Saunders, where the PPP are the plaintiffs. They want the court, the CCJ, to say, no, the Court of Appeal don't have jurisdiction to hear appeal. But so Justice Saunders is now visiting Guyana. And guess what? He went and met with Irfaan Ali, Bart Jagdeo, and the Prime Minister, and Lal, who's the Attorney General. These are the plaintiffs. I don't care if they're listed and the names are listed. They are the plaintiffs. The Attorney General is the counsel. He's a lawyer for them. These guys are the plaintiffs. Bart Jagdeo, Ali, Prime Minister. And he met with them alone. Alone meaning he met with them alone. We don't know what was discussed there. Now, let us put this thing in context. Imagine if you live in Canada, Africa, the United States, Canada, or Barbados, or St. Vincent, where he lives, where he's from. Justice Saunders from St. Vincent. Imagine a judge. You have a murder case before you, being prosecuted before you. And the judge went and met with the prosecutor and the parents, both parents of the murder victim, while the trial is going on. That's what Justice Saunders just did. Let me repeat it. Imagine you have a murder case where a judge is presiding in that case. And the judge had a meeting with the prosecutor and the parents of the murder victim. Or let's move into the civil term. Imagine those same parents are now suing the defendant, the suspect, the perpetrator, for $100 million. And the judge in that case, the civil suit, had a meeting with the lawyer for the parents and the parents who's suing the defendant for $100 million. It is unethical. It is against every judicial canon that exists in the world. Now, we criticized it, as everybody should. And what knocks me out in Guyana is that you have all these lawyers. You have all the civil society groups. Quiet. It is not because it's the APNU is involved and we support it. It is unethical. And I like to consult before I do certain things. I consulted with friends here who are part of the judiciary in this country, who were alarmed, who said it should be condemned. I'm talking about judges. They can't do that here. No judge here can do what Justice Saunders did. So before we put out a statement last Friday, Saturday, we consulted widely with the law, with judicial ethics experts, with the very CCJ, Standards of Ethics for Judges, Code of Conduct, which speaks to impartiality and the appearance of bias, and asks that judges eschew these kinds of meetings. And then I went to the United States Judges Code of Conduct that explicitly bans this kind of conduct. It bans it. Now we criticize it, and the Bar Association put out a statement attacking us. The Guyana Bar Association. Yeah, that same Bar Association. It's alive. Yeah, you know, they only come alive when it comes to defend things connected to the PPP. Bar Association says, as it's permitted by established protocol, Mr. Adrian Saunders paid a visit, a courtesy call, on the President, Prime Minister, Vice President, and Attorney General of the country he's visiting. In other words, these cockeye guys, these crooks in the Bar Association, they're not crooks because they're trying to defraud us. Well, not defraud. They're trying to mislead us. They're telling me that every country, they're telling all of us that every country the CCJ President Chief Justice goes to, he got to meet with the President, the Prime Minister, the Attorney General. What nonsense is that? But most particularly, even if that's the established protocol, it so happened that there's an elections petition case before the court that in which these guys are the plaintiffs, the same people he's meeting. More, the office they're holding that he's visiting, the petition is questioning their legitimacy to hold that office. So there's a triple whammy he finds himself in. Is a lie. You don't have to visit these people. Even if you visit the people, you have to visit all of them. And then, in this case, these same people, triple whammy, these same people have a matter before him. More significantly, the matter is challenging the legitimacy of these guys to occupy the office they're holding, which causes him to visit them. He is visiting them by virtue of them holding these constitutional offices of the country in government. And the petition is challenging their legitimacy to occupy those offices. How can he do this? And the Bar Association, that is supposed to be the bastion of justice for the country, apart from the courts, to ensure that the laws are upheld, that justice is dispensed without fear or favor, that the country upholds the rule of law. The Bar Association is countenancing this and said there's nothing wrong with that. So now they pick up the PPP line. The reason he didn't visit an opposition leader is because the opposition leader doesn't exist. There's no opposition leader in Guyana right now, or he would have visited the opposition leader. We don't care, because equally, if he had visited the opposition leader, it's the same problem, because the opposition leader would have been the defendant in the same case. So you come for a conference in a country that's so divided, politically and racially, where the legitimacy of the government that you want to visit is in question in a matter before you, then you go to your conference and catch your tail back to Trinidad. That's what you do. You don't go visit politicians, all happily looking like a lark, meeting with people who have a matter before you. What do you expect the opposition attorneys and the defendants in the case before him going to think? Whether or not he had any conversation, made any promises, he is already perceived to be biased based on the biases he's shown during the previous cases. And now this other matter coming back before him with the same people, he said, I'm smiling, laughing, talking, greeting, shaking hands, and having a meeting. We want to know what was discussed in the meeting. Did the case come up? Those are legitimate questions. Did anybody bring up this case? If he wanted to do that, why then didn't he have a public meeting, as heads of states here do sometimes? Have a public meeting, have the cameras there. It's a courtesy call. Hey, Mr. President, I'm happy to be in Guyana for this conference, and I wish you well. I'm happy that you guys are all safe, that you guys are coming out of this pandemic well, and we look forward that we work all together to improve and enhance justice in Guyana and the Caribbean. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody. Gone. The press, everybody, the public, transparency. You don't sit down and have a private meeting with plaintiffs in a matter before you. And then the Bar Association, that is normally very quiet on all the other matters. Even Nirvan Singh's matter. Them quiet, them is the Bar Association. They've come to the defense of Justice. They're always on the wrong side of public issues, the Guyana Bar Association. Why? Because they're political lackeys for the PPP. The Bar Council, which is the executive committee of the Bar Association, is dominated by PPP racist lackeys. Some, not all, some people in there. Even if I'm not mistaken, a member of parliament for the PPP is on that committee. How can the Bar Association be perceived to be unbiased? Or why should we listen to these clowns in the Bar Association? And then they're saying, we should be condemned for bringing up a point of judicial ethics. We should be condemned. How dare them? How dare these rascals? Self-appointed, whatever, sanctimonious. Call for us to be sanctioned because we raised a violation of judicial ethics? Are these people for real? That's why Judge Carlos Moore, who is the president of the National Bar Association in America, went to Guyana and said, there needs to be a Black Bar Association or an independent bar association from the GBA. Attorneys in Guyana, form a bar association that represents you. The Guyana Bar Association don't represent the views of all of the lawyers in Guyana. They don't. Let the PPP keep their bar association. Y'all form a Black Bar Association or an independent bar association that could represent your interests and represent your views. You have a bar association defending this nonsense and talking about people creating mischief. What the judge did there is mischievous. Your statement, Bar Association of Guyana, is mischievous. It is politically motivated. Y'all are the spokespersons for Justice Saunders. Justice Saunders could talk for himself. Let him come out and defend his actions. What protocol? As a matter of fact, the protocol based on the CCJ's own standards of ethics, judicial conduct, the Code of Judicial Conduct, says those kinds of meetings should not take place with judges. You ask any judge across the board, anywhere in Guyana, anywhere across the Caribbean, if it is ethical for the judge to go and meet with plaintiffs in a matter before him in which he is the presiding judge. It is unethical. You can't defend it. It is defenseless. Sorry, indefensible. Indefensible. You can't defend it. That's why the Caribbean region ain't got no faith in the court. That's why the Jamaicans don't want nothing to do with the court. So instead of them build confidence in the integrity of the court, sorry, allergies. They're countenancing actions that erode confidence in the court, public trust in the court, the credibility of the court, integrity of the court. And I don't believe any other country in the Caribbean should join the court. some of the judges, including Justice Saunders, are biased. Look at how he dealt with the coalition lawyers, disrespected them, disrespected Royce Dale Ford. Literally almost told him to shut up. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying, my advocacy and my pleadings before you. Show respect. Respect is the. You don't get up there to abuse people as a judge. That's what he did to some of the coalition lawyers. And now he's coming meeting with the PPP and expect us to be quiet. And then the Bar Association puts out this trash of a statement. Lying, saying it's the protocol. It is not. It is not. He does not have to meet the president. He does not have to meet the prime minister. He does not have to meet the vice president. He does not have to meet the treasurer. It is trash. Don't hoodwink us. Don't obfuscate this issue. Don't create a distraction. Don't give us smoke. Deal with the matter. It is you could say it's unfortunate that some people think that that's unethical. People are entitled to their views. But it's something that the judge thought he should do, seeing that he's in the country. It will not happen. Whatever it is, wouldn't happen again, whatever it is. But don't come telling me we talking trash and we political. Get out of here with that nonsense. It's only guy that kind of trash can happen. Get lost with this nonsense. It is time we have some standards in Guyana. It is time people be held to account. It is time people respect us. It is time people respect the opposition in Guyana, respect the other half of the population. Guyana is not a one-party state. Don't allow Bar Association, CCJ, PPP government to overrun half the population. No court, no government, no Bar Association is more powerful than the people. The people, the power of a state is vested in the people, who then elect representatives to be their agents. I've said enough. Guyanese people, wake up. Wake up. We got to stop this nonsense. We got to stop this nonsense. Stop rolling over and play dead and make these people ride all over you and run roughshod over you. I've said enough for now. This is all I wanted to say with regard to these three topics. I'll be back with more conversation with Rickford Burke on Thursday coming. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe.